9 men's misery. On this spot where they were slain by the Indians were buried the 9 soldiers captured in Pierce's fight, March 26th, 1676.
Welcome back to the New Mind, everybody, and welcome to 9 Men's Misery. I was acting as an Indian there because 9 men, colonists, were killed here, brutally tortured, and had their lives taken by Narragansett Indians. Welcome back to the New Mind, and let's start the video. So, where we are right now is the back of the Cumberland Monestery, and these woods, there's about 530 acres that was bought by Dom something, don't quote me on his name, right around the 1900s, or I think it was exactly 1900 he bought this land and gave it to the monks here. So there is so much land here, and there's so many trails. If you guys like hiking, you guys can come do that, walk your dogs, it's great for that. But the main reason why the New Mind is here is because of the strange disappearance of these 9 men, and no one exactly knows exactly what happened to these guys. There were stories of them being sculpted, tomahawked, and then they were mocked by getting their faces drawn, carved in with knives or whatever the Indians had to mock the relationship between the Indians and the colonists. So how it started is this land back here was home to the Narragansetts. And the Narragansetts, they were keeping their peace with the colonists. So this was right around the 17th century, the early 17th century. They were at peace with each other for about 50 years until what do the English do? They start to encroach, which in other words, they're intruding on the Indians' land and rights. So the Indians weren't cool with that. So what they started doing, they started putting together armies and pushing back against them. One of the tribes, the Narragansetts, signed a peace treaty with the, I believe it was the Plymouth Bay colony, stating, no, it was the Narragansett Bay colony, and they did a treaty, a peace treaty, saying they don't want to participate in any wars with them. And at this time, it was called the King Philip War. King Philip was not an English king, but he was actually an Indian king, also known as Metacomet. All right, so now I just want to take a little bit of time to show you a bit of where we are and kind of what this spot looks like. So I came running up here, Ben the Indian, and if you go straight that way, roughly you'll get to Diamond Hill. Is that Diamond Hill? Yeah, Diamond Hill. And the entrance to the monastery is there. And this is on top of a hill. So let me show you kind of the surroundings. 9 Men Misery, and it's just kind of like a plateau, flat area. Once again, on this side you have another hill coming down. So it seems to me that the colonists must have been terrified because they were on top of this hill and they were probably surrounded by thousands of Indians, and yeah, that's just not a good scene. So come back around this way. Not a very big space, as you can see, but hopefully we can catch some type of paranormal stuff here. That's the goal, right? That's why we're here. So now back to the history. All right, so I didn't mention that King Philip's War started 1675, and that is when he rallied up 3 different tribes, and they all agreed upon to fight the colonists. Now, mind you, the Narragansetts were left out of this because they signed that peace treaty with the Narragansett Bay colony, agreeing to have no bloodshed. So a wise thing that Metacomet did to spare and protect the men, the old men, the women and children, was to send them to Narragansett. And this was right around the winter time, so you can only imagine how cold it was back then. So he sends them there. Now on December 9th, an English colonist leads a huge militia and goes to the Great Swamp, and this would be now South Kingstown, and he wipes out 700 of these people. I'm not sure exactly why he did that, but all I can tell you is it pissed off the Narragansetts, and it pissed off the other 3 colonies already grouping together to go after these colonists. So at this point, Rhode Island wasn't in this until that happened. So Roger Williams, the founder of Providence, Rhode Island, gets involved into this war, and so are the Narragansetts. Now everyone's clashing, and this war probably destroyed, I think it was a third of the New England Bay towns and settlements, and 8% of the Massachusetts colony was wiped out of men. So this was huge bloodshed. It's compared to be almost or as equally as bad as the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. So what ended up happening after this is that the Indians and their tribes went after Providence, and they ambushed Providence. Unfortunately, it's kind of sad to say that obviously they didn't win. Metacomet, the leader of the tribe, he got disembodied, he was shot, and his limbs were spread. And that's the end of King Philip's war. Now for the part that everyone comes here for, the hauntings. So one cool thing that I really want to try catching here is there's been reports of walking along these trails around the Nine Men Misery, the hill, and people hearing and seeing a invisible horse galloping through the trails. I mean, that would be so awesome. I just bought a new camera that should be on its way. Hopefully I'll have it by then and we can set it up along these trails. Another thing is hearing voices. That's a common one in haunted areas. And there's also been reports of a giant with 2 double-row teeth that gnashes his teeth at you. So I don't know what that's exactly all about. But I also want to mention that for a long time, people were not sure about if there was actually bodies here. So because it happened a while ago, and there was nothing really recorded about Nine Men Misery. But in the 1690s, scientists, medical students I should say, dug up some bodies. And so that kind of was some fortification as something went down here. And 1976, there was more bodies dug up, returned, and then before 1976, in the 1900s, the monks that moved here, they came from Nova Scotia, and they were digging around here. They had farms and stuff, and they probably stumbled upon this, dug up the bodies, and they actually gave them to the Rhode Island Historic Society, and they were stored into the what was the name? You can tell me, what was it?
John Brown
House. The John Brown House. So that's where they stored them, and then they had a proper ceremony for the burial, and that's history right there. So stay tuned for part 2. We're gonna do the investigations, like the Elder Blue Cemetery, see what we can find around these airy lands, and yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to The New Mind, and we'll see you soon.